Hello boys and girls, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about more hotfixes that made it into the game and some of the previous one, and my lack of understanding of the direction that Blizzard is going to and why those changes are happening. So with the weekly resets, I guess you saw that every keystone above level 20 is now going to scale with a little bit less than it did before, which is only going to help people who are pushing high keys. At level 20, that makes absolutely no difference. At level 21, 22, it's a very small difference. So unless you're pushing 25 and higher, this change is not really significant to you. And the day after, we actually got another change, which is saying this. Creatures that detect stealth and invisibility are now immune to the effects of Mind Suit. So basically that means that they're further trying to nerf the God comp and reduce the need of you having a priest in every dungeon, because you can not only mass dispel the dragons if you pull them, but you can actually mind suit them and skip them in holes of infusion. That's just one example, of course. So those changes show, at least to me, that they're aware of the problems that exist in the game right now and they're trying to fix them, but the changes themselves don't make much sense to me because they're only helping a very small amount of people. What do I mean? Well, if you go into the Rider.io website and see the current standings, if you scroll down here, you can see that all dungeons completed at plus 25, this is only 0.3% of the population. All dungeons completed at plus 20, that's 6.4, but if you're doing 21s and 22, that's probably less than 5% of the population. So first, the changes that reduce the scaling of higher keys only help a very small fraction of the player base. And I guess you can argue, okay, they reached their top and they cannot push further, and the nerfs made it so we guarantee that they cannot jump to the threshold that they reached. But I think this is also true for players who play at lower levels. Now, if you're pushing 15s or 18s or 20s, right, doesn't really matter, because once you get nerfed as well, then you're basically at your or close to your top level. So I think the lack of motivation to push is equally affecting higher level pushing key teams and people who are just like us, bugging everything up until 20s. So the change says, okay, sorry, we messed up. Here, you can push your keys now, but this only helps the 0.3% part of the population instead of the bigger part of the player base, which is living into the lower keys. And then the priest change is basically on the same level. There's another article in WoWHead, I'll post it in the comments in the description of this video, and they're basically telling you that after the hotfix, after the nerf of the priest, you can actually watch this video, and they are managing to skip the dragons, although the mind suit is now not working, right? So they're using more complicated tech. They need a Shadow Mant from a Night Elf. They need a teleport from an Evoker, which now makes the Evoker also a must-have in the dungeons. But the high-end teams are still able to cope with this problem and skip these dragons. So what happens to lower end and lower keys? Well, now we have to pull dragons, right? It doesn't matter what happens. This makes it much harder for us to deal with this dungeon. And the top level is again not affected by those changes because they find another solution to this problem. So this is what I'm not understanding, right? Instead of, okay, I agree with some of the nerfs, you know, some of the things needed to be nerfed. They probably need more nerfs. But what I don't understand is, why don't we just give chance to the other classes and the other people to play by just buffing them? I think this happens almost every time at the end of seasons when they start doing some crazy things and they buff us up until infinity, right? So I think they could have done something like that at the end of season 2 as well, so that it feels good to play the game once more after everything that happened. Instead, I guess the high-end teams, which is that 0.3% right now, they'll continue playing and doing things like that, but I don't see the motivation now to go into Holes of Infusion, because obviously we are probably not going to be able to execute and perform that well with that pool and skip the dragons, so that just makes the dungeon difficult for us. Let me know if you agree, let me know if you disagree. I'm just trying to understand the Blizzard's reasoning about this. And how do you feel about those changes? Do you think they're going to help you, or they're going to prevent you and make it harder for you to do the dungeons that you're doing so far at the key levels that you are at? So yeah, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care and happy keying.